anyway, we're gonna move on to the Golden State Warriors. We're gonna move up north. Now, most of their offseason have been stagnated by the entire Jonathan Kuminga situation. Jonathan Kuminga entered restricted free agency. Kuminga and his agent and the Warriors have been at odds all summer about a contract. There was rumors about him being shopped to the Sacramento Kings in a sign and trade. I believe it was going to be for Malik Monk and Keegan Murray. But the deal ended up not going through. And then finally, a few weeks ago, the Warriors and Kuminga finally reached an agreement to a 2-year, $48 million deal. Now, the Warriors do have a team option to where I believe it makes it easier for the Warriors, or even if they were to trade Kuminga, it makes it easier for them to, agree to a contract extension next year.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
The Warriors have botched all of, in my eyes, the last like 5, 6 years out the 2020s. The Warriors have botched like draft picks and front office decision making outside of signing Andrew Wiggins and that one year they won the championship. I thought that was a nice pickup,
can't
but
just poo-poo that one championship.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but outside of that, like when it comes to specifically drafting and their young talent, they've really dropped the ball. They haven't developed, and they you could make an argument that they picked the wrong players. And Jonathan Kuminga, he could ball. So like for me, I'm just like they always had him on a short leash. Steve Kerr wants to play his stars, but he didn't implement. He never implemented or developed Kuminga the way Kuminga should have been developed, in my opinion. They kind of just really have been mishandling that whole situation.
I mean, the thing is, I think it's a bit of a tricky situation, especially when you have like a superstar player like Steph Curry, who's going to obviously command most of the shots in the offense. But but the thing is, even before Jimmy Butler came, it's like there was a lot like even some of the Warrior veterans like the Andre Iguodala's and the Draymonds, they would always big up Kaminga and saying like, hey, they would always
Cheeto.
hype up his potential, and like they knew that he was a lottery pick for a reason, so they knew his potential. But now, I just think that Kaminga and Kerr have pretty much like they've had their moments where they've been at odds with each other, and I think sometimes, I think there's times where he gets a little bit of an attitude sometimes, and like sometimes he starts like pouting a little bit in the locker room, and I think that energy sometimes can like rub like Steve
Well, if
Kerr and
I'm
some of the
23
coaches
years
on
old,
nerves.
24 years old, and I'm not getting no PT, and the vets, like you just said, are big up in me, like I'm gonna feel some type of way too. It would be one thing if we saw Kaminga and like he wasn't producing, he got his chances, and Steve Kerr just couldn't trust him. I would be all for Steve Kerr, right? I'd be like, all right, bro, I understand. But there'll be times like I watched the Warriors last year, like it was almost like Steve Kerr had no choice sometimes but to play Kaminga. Like he was finally forced to. And I'm like, bro, why aren't you playing this man, just giving him some minutes? It was almost like he like guys would get hurt. So he's like, all right, finally Kaminga. Like, I'm like, why? This guy can produce. And I mean, he's still a young cat. Now I agree with you, he gotta be a little bit more professional. He can't show it physically. I mean, he can't show it outwardly, but it's hard to do when you're young like that and you feel like your talent is being wasted, your money is getting your money's being affected because you're not getting a long-term contract. Guys his age right now are getting their like long-term second deals. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I could feel. I mean, I know I'm an NBA champion, yada yada, but I would still be feeling some type of way too because your Steph is what 38, 37, 38. He's on his way out. Draymond 35, Clay already gone. Iggy already gone. So it's like, if I'm looking at all of this, I'm like, yo, I'm supposed to be next. You're supposed to be developing me while Steph is here. So that way, like when Steph leaves, we just gonna completely fall off because I can take over the mantle, or I'm a vital piece in for whatever is next for the future. But the Warriors keep showing them time and time again that they don't really have them in the future, which is weird because if you don't, then let them go.
Yeah, like I just think I think there has to be a balance to where like you still want them to be like accountable and still like have a good attitude, but at the same time, like that doesn't necessarily mean that because I mean there would be times where like Steve Kerr would overdo and just not play him games at a time. And like
Right.
there was also times, and there was also, and he would do that during times last year before they traded for Jimmy Butler and when they were even struggling. Like I mean, before they made that Jimmy trade, I mean, people were wondering if Steph was going to even ask out last year
Right. No, I remember it was.
if he was showing frustration and just not having a
Yeah.
whole lot of guys. helping him out. So now that Jimmy Butler's here, so now that they did make that trade for Jimmy Butler, and now that they have him for a full season, do you think that the remnants of this situation is still going to linger? When it comes to his role on the team this upcoming season.
I think it depends on what kind of Jimmy Butler you get because Jimmy Butler's 36 years old now. Those finals runs were a couple of years ago now. You know what I'm saying? A few years ago. What Jimmy Butler are you gonna get? Because if you don't get the Jimmy Butler of old and it starts showing and you have Kaminga just sitting there, you gotta play the man. You know what I'm saying? It's an indictment. I think the Warriors are gonna be right there because you got Steph Curry. I'm gonna give Jimmy Butler the benefit of the doubt because he's always been a dog. Um, I
Yeah, but
like
he didn't necessarily step up for him last
he
year
sure
when
did it,
Steph went
but
out, though.
he didn't, which is why I said, "What kind of Jimmy Butler are you gonna get?" And I said he's 36 years old now. He's even older now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm aware of that, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because Jimmy Butler usually shows up, and I'm just gonna say, "Hey, he just got to a new team. He probably didn't know his role yet like that. He was probably getting comfortable. He could have stepped up way more." I agree with you. I'm gonna give him Jimmy Butler though. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. So I'm gonna wait to hold off and see what kind of Jimmy we got. Draymond, he's gonna be the point forward. They still got Tracy Jackson Davis. He's a good hustle role player. They still got Gary Payton the second, which is he's a great glue guy. D'Anthony Melton, I like that pickup.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of just watching to see how they gonna move. They
they
still
got
got
they got. And I think Al Horford's a good pickup for
Badensky,
him
so
too.
they got some cats. So I'm not gonna rule them out. I can see them being like a top 5 seed. I can see them avoiding the plane. How about that?
I think their ceiling's a little bit higher than that because I mean because the thing is when Jimmy got there last year, like during the second half of the season, once they made that trade, like the Warriors had the best record in the league,
True.
and they were playing some of the best basketball in the league the last part of the year before, Jimmy, and I truly think that if Steph didn't get hurt last year, I think the Warriors would have beaten Minnesota in that playoff series, and I think
Mm,
they would have moved on to play Oklahoma City in the conference finals. So I mean,
mm.
I think if Kaminga could come back and buy in, Kirk can kind of unleash him out of the doghouse a little bit more this year and get more of those opportunities, and he can actually take advantage of them. I think he could be he could be the main X factor to having the Warriors, make one last, title push.
I put it more on Steve Kerr, and the reason why is
I agree.
in order for Kaminga to buy in, he has to be sold first. He has to be sold on the game plan, and that comes with the coach, and that comes with the coach, the GM, letting him know, hey, we want you to be here. And the best way to let him know that they want him to be here is give him some minutes, let him play, let him produce, let him feel like he's on this team and he's not just riding the bench or he's just an afterthought. So I got to go with the coaching first right there because we unless the coach decides to play him, we never gonna find out what he can truly be, and that's the true shame with Jonathan Kaminga at this point of his career.
I think it's also important for Kerr to, basically rebuild that trust back within Kaminga because, when it comes to the championship, like if this team really wants to, lock in and be able to make one last title push, then, from the coaching staff to the players on the team to the guys in the front office, like that trust has to be there on all three fronts.
Yep, I
So
agree with
yeah,
that.
so to your point, like it's going to be imperative for Kerr to basically rebuild that trust back with Kaminga, so that way, and obviously because obviously he has the buy-in from like Steph and Jimmy, but I just think that if he can, but sometimes as the head coach you do have to, like you can't just only coach the stars. It's like you gotta talk to that guy at that 15th guy on the bench that doesn't get any
Right.
PT. Make sure that he stays ready too, because if he's out there moping at the end of the bench, that energy could trickle down to the rest of the team. We're gonna move on to the other team in Northern California real quick. We're gonna move on to the Sacramento Kings. Last season, they traded away De'Aaron Fox in a three-team deal to acquire Zach LaVine, basically reuniting the Chicago Bulls from the last few years now in the Western Conference up in Sacramento. And then they had a very quiet offseason for the most part. They tried to make a move for the aforementioned Jonathan Kaminga in the offseason, but the deal did not go through. So they ended up signing Russell Westbrook a few days ago. Um, there have been rumors about Russ signing with the Kings, all off season, and now it's finally happened. So, have your reaction to Sacramento signing Russell Westbrook, and he is now reunited with LA native DeMar DeRozan, and he's also reunited with the UCL of Zach LaVine. Have
You didn't mention
what
that they
what do you make
they
of
what's the
their
name? Keegan Michael.
no,
What's
no,
my
Keegan, no, Keegan Murray. No, he was very solid when they went to the playoffs a few years ago. But
But
they did
damn,
sign for long term extension,
damn.
5 years,
Yeah, like
140, man.
5 years, 140 bill.
That rookie extension. I think that's basically an automatic. They just
NBA
pass
just
out that
giving away
extension if you
money.
make one. If you make one of the all rookie teams, like if you have some buzz your first couple years, man, that's how you get paid, man. I mean, that's basically around the same. The thing is, he's got the same money that I think Jalen Johnson, the Atlanta Hawks, got. Even though I think Jalen Johnson's a much better player than him, but
NBA just giving away money, bro. I mean, look, I just want to say first and foremost, the only reason why we talking about the Sacramento Kings is because we obligated. Our boss told us we have to talk about it. I just want to state that for the record. Because this team's irrelevant, man. You and I both know this team ain't going to do nothing, man. And Russell Westbrook, brother. I'm going to watch some Kings games because I know this is it. I'm going to watch some Kings games because I know this is it for DeMar DeRozan too, man. I'll watch a
I think
couple.
you might have a couple. I think you might have another like year or two left.
Maybe.
DeMar DeRozan, I think does.
Maybe. But these guys are, bro, when you are a veteran and you get sent to what I call the abyss, which are teams that are just terrible, trash, and they don't have nothing going for themselves, that usually indicates that your career is about done. And nobody wants Russ no more. The Nuggets didn't even want Russ no more. He's with the Kings after a long off season of nobody wanting to pick him up. I just think
But Russ willingly opted out of the contract with Denver. That's the thing.
I know, but nobody else wanted to pick him up. I honestly feel like the Kings aren't going to do nothing. I think they're going to be a lottery team. Yeah, man. I mean, their best shot was with Aaron Fox, and the Sacramento Kings have a long history of just dumb ass decisions when it comes to front office decisions. They make stupid decisions. You give up Tyrese Halliburton. You give up De'Aaron Fox. You sign Keegan Murray to a 4 year fund, $140 million extension. You sign him Russell West. I mean, these are moves of a team that is trying to get a high draft pick, bro. Honestly, and this is what I see. I just see a whole bunch of dudes that were the man at some point of their careers. Now they're on this team together. I don't really see them doing much, bro. I don't. They're not making the playoffs, and I don't even think they're gonna be in the play-in.
Yeah, really, the only brights. They still got Sabonis there. He's still a highly productive player, but it's just like. But even then, it's like he does right now. Like when you trade De'Aaron Fox, like you still. Like is Russ gonna be the main dude giving them the ball? It's like like
They
is that
traded
like
Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis to pair him up with De'Aaron Fox, and then let De'Aaron Fox go. After letting their head coach go, who got them to the playoffs for the first time in what 20 years.
Yeah, that's the thing because
Go
so
ahead.
because the thing is initially, like Sacramento had gotten to the playoffs and Indiana didn't like Indiana didn't make the playoffs the first couple of years with Halliburton, but then then all of a sudden last year, but then now Halliburton, the last couple of years has now risen up as a player, as a superstar caliber player,
And we
and
saw those
now
flashes in Sacramento. It wasn't
yeah,
like
but
it wasn't like he got to Indiana and we were like, oh my God, he's nice out of nowhere. We knew he was nice in Sacramento.
but here's the thing: would you have moved off of Fox before Halliburton?
I mean, you
Right,
know
because
what?
I don't know if it would have been that sustainable for those two guys to play together.
Man, when you got talent like that, you got to make it work, bro. You at least got to try to make it work. I feel like that's a team like we never got to see their full potential.
That's true. I feel like they didn't. We didn't really.
I
They
mean,
didn't really get that much time together for us to really find out.
That's what I'm saying. They did get Sabonis and they did get the third seed, but they got bounced out by the Warriors. So like for me, it's just like I don't know, man. I just feel like that
The
was
part of me that I don't know if because I don't know if Tyrese Halliburton would necessarily be doing the same things that he's doing right now, playing in the West, like playing in Sacramento. Like I think it would have
but
been
he
a
was
little bit
though.
more of a like it would have been a little bit more of an uphill, Like
I
I
foo
don't
like
think he
Tyrese
would
Halliburton
necessarily be
was putting
making
up these numbers when he was with the Kings, and that's why we recognize like, oh, you gave him up, like
Yeah, no, but my point is that I don't necessarily think he would be doing the kind of winning if he was still in Sacramento. Like, I don't think Sacramento would be perennially like a top like three team in the West or something like that if Tyrese Halliburton was there. Like,
mm,
I don't necessarily think that. They still even at the time they still needed more pieces. Let's say they did hang on to Halliburton, they still would need more pieces around them at the time, to become a contender. You know what I'm saying? Because they still
okay,
even when they had
that's fair.
Halliburton, it's not like Sacramento was close to being like a playoff team at the time.
That's fair. That's fair.
But anyway, last topic, we're gonna also move on to another team that our boss wants us to talk about. But we are gonna talk about the Phoenix Suns. They did move
Mm.
Kevin Durant in the offseason. They did acquire. They got Jalen Green in the trade. They got Dylan Brooks, and they got the number 10 pick. I forgot the guy's name, but I think he has a lot of potential. Actually, the center from Duke.
Oh,
Uh, like
come on, is it come on, come on Mulak or something like that?
yeah, exactly. They got him. Yeah, I do like him. I think he has some solid potential. But Ham, so what do you think? Do you think the Suns? Do you think they got enough pieces of the deal for Kevin Durant to?
Hell no. Hell to the no, they did. They had to get rid of Kevin Durant by any means necessary because they knew he wasn't going to be back. They knew it was a cancerous situation. The Phoenix Suns, man, you want to talk about how the mighty have fallen. Just 3, 4, 5 years ago, this team was in the NBA Finals, was
Mhm.
2 games away from winning a championship.
2-0
Now
lead.
this team is not even going to. They're going to be competing for the play-in, bro. Again, this team is ass. I'm sorry, bro. I'm looking at this roster. You got Devin Booker, okay, for sure. Jalen Green, I'm sorry, bro. He painted his nails more than he who. You said, come on, Mulak. I mean, you didn't even know how to pronounce brother's name. We talking about what he did it dope.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like a huge like college basketball guy, so I don't know half of these guys in the draft.
I'm saying my thing with college basketball is like the reason why the way college basketball is right now, man. Since they're like professional players, I'm like, look, you're a professional. I want to see you in the league. I don't care what you do in college. I want to hear about you in the league. Jared Butler, who? Dylan Brooks. I mean, that's cool for defense. Grayson Allen's a cool shooter. Jordan Good, who's that? Nick
Jordan Goodwin
Richards.
was on the
What
Lakers
kind of
last year,
the
bro. What are you talking
center?
about?
Huh?
That was the same Jordan Goodwin that was on the Lakers, bro. Like
That's what I'm saying. Who is that? He didn't play. Who's that?
he was on
What?
the you got minutes in the playoffs, man. You're not paying
Jordan Goodwin?
attention. Yes, he
Man,
did. He was number 30 with the
man,
Mavs
what?
on.
What?
You didn't remember
What?
that?
Man, this man averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds last season. What? We barely heard of this man,
But you didn't
bro.
remember. Wait, you didn't remember him? Like he came in and played something.
No, but what I'm saying, yeah, I know you was on the team, but he was a who? Now they putting in Jordan Goodwin. Who? That's what I'm saying, man. We talking about relevancy of pieces when it comes to the Suns, man. I'm just looking at this roster, bro. I'm just come on, man. Nick Richards, like I seen him with Charlotte, he ain't really do much. Mark Williams from Duke, the other center from Duke, like bro, what? Like I'm sorry, Nigel Hayes, who? Kobe Bray? What? There's another Kobe in the league? I didn't know that. Rasheer Fleming. Who are these guys, bro? Who are these guys? Who are these guys, man?
I mean,
They ain't making the playoffs, Randall.
a
The
lot
Suns
of,
are cooked, brother.
honestly, like I'm kind of getting to this point, like with a lot of these guys in the NBA today, man. Like, it's just a lot of there is a
The
lot of.
Suns are cooked, brother. Who are these guys? Colin Giuseppe. Who the heck? Also,
I think they.
Who
I think they
are
still
these
got.
guys?
So,
CJ Huntley.
we
Who?
have to. We do have to keep in mind. We do got to keep in
I
mind
know
though.
it's the preseason roster. I'm
Yeah,
just sorry. I'm preseason or not. I'm sorry. Ryan Dunn. What? Royce O'Neal, okay, I know who Royce O'Neal is, but they ain't really been like that since Utah. And David Duke Jr. Bro, man, this team had Chris Paul. This team had Mikal Bridges. This team had DeAndre Ayton at one point. This team was really like that at one point. Who the hell is Devin Booker playing with now, bro? I mean, he took the money, but damn, if I was Devin Booker, I would want to be like this after this season. I'd demand a trade, bro. I mean, that's what you can do in the league, anyways. You can sign your bag in the NBA. You can sign your bag,
Yeah,
get your money,
you
and then
can.
demand a trade after. So
Yeah.
if I'm Devin Booker, bro, I'm playing, I'm hooping, but he know damn well he ain't doing nothing with this roster. He know damn well this is not, bro. This
He's
team
just,
might not even make the play-in. I mean, shoot,
they didn't make the
even the
play in
Suns got
last
more
year.
cast that we know than this team. I'm sorry, the Kings. Even the Kings got more cast that we know than the Suns. Also in the Daru, Colin Giuseppe. What? Kobe Bryant? What the hell is that? Who the hell is Kobe Bryant? Oh my god, bro! I'm sorry, man. The Phoenix Suns, they're cooked, bro, and it's so sad because they were just in the finals. They really, the Phoenix Suns are the ultimate reason why I don't ever want to see a super team ever again. Taking all of that depth you had for KD, who never happy, never satisfied, and quite frankly, he can't carry your team, and he never has been able to carry a team. But that's neither here nor there. You mortgaged the future for everything. Chris Paul and Devin Booker were able to take him to the finals. Really thinking about that for a second.
Yeah.
Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Then you don't get Bradley Beal. You don't get KD. It never worked out. You don't trade Chris Paul.
Look, Chris Paul got the most out of DeAndre Ayton too.
Oh, DeAndre Ayton, he folded too. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm saying Chris Paul, like in that finals run, he got the most out of DeAndre.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Because he did ball in that playoff run.
We ain't seen DeAndre Ayton like that since. When Chris Paul, one thing I will say about Chris Paul that I love, Chris Paul comes on your team and he makes everybody better.
He holds guys accountable, man. Like it's just,
you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go back to
like certain players that have like bad habits, like they don't necessarily, like, you know, when you play with the guy that like calls you out on your BS, it's like you gotta hold yourself to that. Like certain guys don't necessarily, and I feel like the guys that that were uncomfortable playing with Chris Paul, like they couldn't handle that.
Absolutely. I'll go back to that season when he played with OKC.
Yep.
If you ask me, I feel like Chris Paul indirectly was he got that whole franchise, that at least from the championship standpoint, he got them started in my eyes.
Yep. Shea learned a lot. Shea will tell you, he learned a lot from him.
Chris Paul got that started. I liked him last year with the Spurs. I feel like he was doing well with the Spurs last year too. You know, obviously he's older now, but Chris Paul's one of those guys that he comes to your team and your team just gets better. And when he leaves your team, you can see how it affects the team as well. And boy, oh boy, ever since they lost Chris Paul, not Devin Booker, not Kevin Durant, when they lost Chris Paul, that's when that team went south.
Yep, 100%. Because here's the thing: Devin Booker was not making. He didn't even make the playoffs at all.
He wasn't like that until Chris Paul got there. Devin Booker was just a really good guy on an ass team, and then Chris Paul got there and changed the culture completely.
Yep. They got to the finals his first year there.
Really think about that. You know,
like that's insane. And they went from not making they didn't make the play. They had, I think, they had the second longest playoff drought in the league before Chris Paul showed up. Like the Suns were perennially picking at the bottom of the league.
Last time I remember the Suns making the playoffs was like 2010.
Yeah, when they lost to the Lakers
conference finals.
In the conference finals. Yep. Yeah, man, it's gonna be so slow for the Suns, man. I wish we could have better news for y'all Suns fans, but then again, I'm a Laker fan. So
maybe organization, they did that to y'all, not us.
It's like, hey man, like
wasn't us.
But anyway, man. That'll wrap up the NBA preview episode for this one. We had a fun time this episode. We appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe to the channel, Stacey on Sports. Follow me on Instagram at @Rand_Hamilton. Follow him on Instagram. Go ahead and plug your stuff.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Hennessy Ham. Hennessy like the drink. Hennessy like the commercial LeBron made instead of getting ready for the new season. Hennessy Ham. And then also TikTok is A1A Hammy. So talk sports, I get right back at you.
All right, man. We appreciate y'all watching. Until next time, y'all be easy.
Basketball back. I love it.
That